Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, in the last 24 hours under President Donald J. Trump, and California has just collapsed. Karen Bass, humiliated, an ex-fire chief, drops a lawsuit that could expose everything. And Bed Bath & Beyond, they've packed their bags and they've said, we're done with California. Bed Bath & Beyond, ticker symbol BBBY, is absolutely done. This isn't just one bad headline, folks. This is the unraveling of the biggest blue stronghold in America. Lawsuits, riots, businesses fleeing, families packing up their U-Hauls, and at the center of it all, Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass are scrambling to hold power in California. But here's a question that Governor Gavin Newsom doesn't want you asking. When people are leaving in droves, when companies are shutting their doors, when voters are whispering about turning red, why is his only answer, where the hell are you going to go? This is what Gavin Newsom says. He questions where people are going to go. All right, let me ask you something. If you lived in California, what state would you go to if you lived in California and you had to leave because you're tired of Gavin Newsom's mess? Which state would you go to? Well, guess what, Gavin Newsom? Millions of Californians, they've already answered that question for you, sir. They're going to Texas. They're going to Florida. They're going to Tennessee, and they're not coming back. Some folks, I got some good friends, they went to Las Vegas, or technically Nevada. So tonight, we got to break it all down for you guys. The bombshell lawsuit that just exposed Karen Bass, the economic collapse that just drove Bed Bath & Beyond out, and of course, the power grabs and the secret deals that Democrats are trying to use to cling to control, and the growing revolt that could flip California's future forever. Guys, do not look away. This is not just about California. This is all 50 states here in the United States. This is about the collapse of the Democratic machine. And once California falls, the whole house of cards come crashing down. Mark my words, guys. If you appreciate the updates, hit the like button, subscribe. Folks, let's ground ourselves right here, right now, okay? We're living in Donald Trump's America. The economy nationwide is stabilizing. Inflation that Joe Biden unleashed on American citizens has finally been beaten back. Companies across red states are thriving, and families, they're feeling a little bit of breathing room right now. Now, not everyone, but a lot of families are feeling some breathing room. But step one foot into California and there's a totally different story. I mean, chaos, collapse, crime, businesses are shuttering their doors. Families are loading up their U-Hauls in the middle of the night. And right at the center of the implosion, Karen Bass, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, and California Governor Gavin Newsom, they're clinging to power while their state falls apart around them. Now, today, we got two massive earthquakes shattering the foundation of Democrat control in California. First, there's this lawsuit earthquake that could blow the lid off of Karen Bass's entire leadership. And second, Bed Bath & Beyond. This is a brand every American knows, right? I mean, comment down below if type a BBBY in the comments if you've ever heard of Bed Bath & Beyond. I think every American in this country has heard of the Bed Bath & Beyond brand. Well, they're officially saying we will not reopen in California. I don't know about you, but that's a gut punch to anyone who lives in California. Thanks, Gavin Newsom. This is a gut punch to an already crumbling economy. So I want to go ahead and start off with Karen Bass, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. You may have heard of her because, ladies and gentlemen, this is humiliation on a grand scale. Now, for those who are not familiar with Karen Bass, she's the one that allowed the wildfires to burn down her city of Los Angeles while she took a luxury vacation outside the country. Well, former Los Angeles Fire Chief Kristen Crowley has filed a legal claim against Bass and the city. Now, this isn't just some minor HR spat. No, ladies and gentlemen, this is a career firefighter accusing the mayor of the second largest city in America of orchestrating a campaign of retaliation, defamation, and outright lies, just to cover up her own failures during the Pacific Palisades wildfires. Now, some people are blaming this as being a DEI issue, but think about that, guys. You dedicate your entire life to protecting a city. You warn about budget cuts, about mothballed fire trucks, and about lack of resources that leave families exposed to danger, like earthquakes and wildfires and tsunamis. And instead of fixing the problems, Karen Bass, she allegedly smears you to to protect herself. I mean, she even pushed to have Crowley removed from her position as chief, not because of performance, but because she spoke the truth. And so what is Crowley demanding? Crowley is demanding a formal apology right before the city council and possibly reinstatement. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how serious this is. Now, let's stop here just for a second, because this is the situation we really need to decide on, guys. Is Karen Bass acting like a leader protecting her city, or is she just destroying whistleblowers to protect her own personal image? Because if Bass is guilty of this, if she silenced the one person that was willing to stand up and say, hey, look, our city isn't ready for the next disaster, then every Angelino left vulnerable during these wildfires deserves better. But of course, I'm not done yet, because while Karen Bass was imploding under this lawsuit, California's economy was dealt another humiliating blow. Bed Bath & Beyond, BBBY, remember those iconic blue coupons? You used to get them in the flyers, in the mail or whatever. Well, the symbol of first apartments and young families, they've announced that they're not going to be reopening in California. Why? Well, they flat out said it. The state is too overregulated. It's too expensive, and it's too hostile for businesses. Does anybody agree with that? More importantly, does anyone disagree with that? This isn't just about this is not just one store, guys. This is one of a million other stores that are literally going to follow this store's lead. This is about the message that it's sending. California has become so toxic for families and for companies that Bed Bath & Beyond isn't alone. I mean, we've seen Tesla shift their operations to Texas. Toyota's gone. Film productions, they're fleeing to Georgia and to Tennessee. And now one of the most recognizable names in American retail says, sorry, California, it's just not worth it. Can you blame them? So here's your second question here. Are these companies just greedy, running from responsibility? Or has Gavin Newsom's California really become unlivable for business? Because if it is the latter, if businesses really literally cannot survive under democratic policies, then we're looking at nothing less than the total implosion of California's economy. And so when you dreamed of retirement, did you picture worrying about Medicare, surprise bills, or losing your doctor? Of course you didn't, because retirement was supposed to be about freedom, time with your family, travel, hobbies, peace, hanging out with your grandkids, right? That is why I partner with Chapter, because they protect that vision. They make sure that your Medicare, your healthcare works for you and not against you. Now, one of our viewers told us, Chapter made me feel like retirement could finally be about enjoying life, not paperwork. I love it. So the real question is this. Why should you be the only one stressing when most retirees are already calling Chapter and they're securing their freedom, right? Well, most people are already calling the number on the bottom of your screen right now, the phone number down below, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. Now, of course, the phone number down below is 909-563-8279. But yeah, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here, guys. What I do want to do is I want to get brutally honest here, because under Karen Bass's lawsuit, the scandal is a much bigger scandal about rot inside of California politics than most people even know about. It is absolutely wild what they're trying to keep covered up. This is the DEI problem: diversity, equity, inclusion. And let's be real, folks. California's leadership has become obsessed with optics instead of competence. Now think about it. Karen Bass, she was hailed as a historic mayor. Kristen Crowley was the first female fire chief. On paper, though, it sounds inspiring. But here's the question that nobody wants to ask. Were these people chosen because they were the best leaders for the job, or because they fit the identity politics box checking game, right? Because what did we actually get? We got a mayor allegedly smearing her own fire chief to cover up her own budgetary failures. There's a city unprepared for wildfires, riots allowed to rage on in the streets, fires were set, an exodus of families and businesses leaving California. I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't sound like leadership. That is symbolism at the expense of safety. Now, here's the situation. Is California literally burning because leaders they were chosen for diversity optics instead of abilities? Because, folks, when the choice is between making history and protecting lives, leadership should always choose protecting lives. Can I get an amen, guys? But not in California. That's not what they do. Not under Karen Bass, and definitely not under Gavin Newsom. So while California Democrats are busy patting themselves on the back for the DEI milestones, the state's economic foundation is crumbling. Just take Bed Bath & Beyond. They didn't just close a store. They didn't just say, oh, we're struggling. They flat out declared California is too expensive. It's too overregulated. It's too risky. In other words, we cannot survive here. That's devastating, right? Because if a household giant name like Bed Bath & Beyond can't make it, then what chances does the local hardware store have, right? The mom and pop shops. What chances does the family diner have? You see where I'm going with this here, right? Because they're smaller. And so they're not alone. Tesla, look at Tesla, Elon Musk's baby. Tesla shifted major operations to Texas. Toyota moved its North American headquarters to Texas years ago. And the film industry, once the pride of California, has fled to Georgia, Tennessee, and even overseas. So these aren't isolated events. What we're seeing here is a pattern. This is a signal to the rest of America that California just isn't the golden state anymore. It's starting to become a graveyard for businesses, bankruptcy. And while Tennessee and Florida and Texas are raking in new jobs and new investments under Trump's America, California is hemorrhaging jobs and revenue under Gavin Newsom's arrogance, which leads us right into the core question. Are these businesses just greedy, or has California become truly unlivable for anybody who's trying to create jobs and prosperity? Because let's be clear, ladies and gentlemen, businesses, they want to be in California. They want access to the talent, to the coastline, the culture, but they can't survive in a state where taxes, regulation, and hostility make profit impossible. That's not just failure. That's sabotage. And so now let's deal with the arrogance at the top. You got Gavin Newsom, right? Because when families were packing up U-Hauls in the middle of the night, when companies were shuttering their doors, when voters were saying, we can't live here anymore, what was his answer? He said, where the hell are you going to go? That's not leadership, guys. That is mockery at its finest. That's contempt for the people who he was elected to serve. He figuratively has spat in everyone's face who voted for him. So I want to test his words, okay? Where are people going? Well, I'll tell you where they're going. They're going to Texas, where jobs are booming, taxes are lower, and families feel safer. They're going to Florida, where the cost of living is better, schools are improving, and families are not crushed by regulation. And of course, there's no state income tax. They're also going to Tennessee, Idaho, and Nevada, red states that welcome businesses instead of punishing them. So the arrogance in that question, where the hell are you going to go? This has already been answered. Californians are saying anywhere but here. Can I get an amen, guys? And so that is the true collapse, because it's not just companies that are leaving. It's people, it's families, it's workers, it's voters. And we're seeing this mass exodus of citizens and voters unlike anything we've seen in modern American history. And you can feel it in the numbers. Latino voters, I mean, once the backbone of Democrat dominance in California, even they are drifting away. Working class families, fed up with crime and high costs, they're saying enough. Even longtime Democrats are whispering that maybe, just maybe, California needs a change of leadership. And it's not just whispers. Look at the rallies. Look at the turnout. Conservative patriots gathering in places like Northern California, Los Angeles, Orange County, places the media swore were forever blue. Tens of thousands showing up, waving flags, demanding change, demanding accountability. And this is the tension. This is the situation we got to sit with. Is California really beginning to turn red? Because if the largest, bluest state in America begins to shift, even slightly toward conservative values, that's not just a California problem. That is a Democratic Party extinction level event. Newsom, he can mock it if he wants. Newsom can sneer, where else are you going to go? But the people are already gone. The voters are already shifting, and the Democrat machine is beginning to crack. So now I want to go a little bit further, because the lawsuits and business flight, they're just on the surface, but underneath all of this, you got California Democrats. They're busy rigging the system to make sure that they never lose power. Now, I'm talking about Prop 50, the special election scheme that would rip redistricting power away from the independent commission voters approved and hand it right back to the politicians. This is what Prop 50 is trying to do. Think about that. The people of California already voted not once, but twice to keep politicians out of the redistricting process. Why? Because they knew Democrats would twist the maps to lock themselves into power. Okay. Now, here comes Gavin Newsom saying, well, Texas never had that reform, so why should California? Excuse me. That's not leadership, guys. That's dictatorship. That's spitting in the face of your own voters because you know you're losing ground and you want to cheat the system. And they're calling Trump a dictator. Really, guys? Donald Trump a dictator when you have Gavin Newsom making statements like this? And so how do they do it? No public hearings, no transparency, reports that legislators secretly adjusted maps behind closed doors, a direct violation of the state constitution. So, yeah, and the press, dead silent. If Republicans had pulled this stunt, man, CNN would be screaming democracy is dead, but because it's Democrats, the media looked the other way. So here's the situation. Is this democracy, guys, or is this dictatorship under a blue label? Because if politicians can rewrite the rules anytime they find themselves in trouble, then the people of California don't have a voice anymore. And while Gavin Newsom is out here busy trying to rig the maps, Karen Bass is busy proving that her hypocrisy knows no bounds. Remember her meltdown about federal agents in Los Angeles? She called the city a petri dish, said Border Patrol showing up was a threat. Not the gangs, not the fentanyl, that's fine. Not the crime. No, the real threat, according to Karen Bass, was law enforcement. Then came the riots. Businesses burned down, cars torched, looting in the streets. And what did Bass do? Karen Bass I was going to say she didn't do anything. Well, technically, she allowed it to happen. She even took funds to sue President Trump for sending in the National Guard. And of course, she lost in court. So basically, she lit taxpayer money on fire. Trump was right. Bass was wrong. And here's the kicker. After letting her city burn, after siding with rioters over law-abiding citizens, she turns and tells business owners, the very victims of the chaos, that they need to come together and clean up the mess that they didn't create, that she allowed to happen. Now, imagine that, guys. The same businesses barely hanging on under California's extraordinarily high taxes and regulations. Now they're being told it's their responsibility to repair the destruction that Karen Bass allowed to happen in Los Angeles. So let's make this very clear, guys. Does Karen Bass protect her citizens, or does she protect chaos? Because if you were a small business owner in LA, the answer would be very clear. Karen Bass has clearly abandoned you. So at this point, folks, you don't need me to tell you this. Californians are losing faith in their so-called leaders. The evidence is everywhere. Business leaders who once would have fought to stay in California, they're now openly saying it's not even worth it. Bed Bath & Beyond, they put it in writing. Small business owners are whispering it over dinner tables. Entrepreneurs are looking at Nevada, Idaho, Texas, Florida, anywhere but here. Residents are seeing the same thing. Crime that never gets prosecuted, taxes that never go down, they only go up, streets lined with tents and homelessness while politicians give themselves photo ops. And every time you think it can't get any worse, Governor Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass prove you wrong. So people are asking the most basic question. Is it still worth it? Is staying in California worth the endless lies, the chaos, to collapse? Or is it finally time to leave and find freedom elsewhere? Because here's the truth, folks. California has already imploded. The lawsuit against Karen Bass, the exodus of the businesses, the secret redistricting, the arrogance of Newsom, the failure to protect citizens, all of it adds up to one undeniable reality. Democrat leadership has destroyed the Golden State. And yet, here's a silver lining. The collapse of faith is also the rise of rebellion. I mean, we're seeing citizens rally in record numbers. We're seeing whispers of a red shift in the bluest state of America. We're seeing voters who swore that they would never question Democrats And now they're saying, maybe we've been lied to all along. This is why Gavin Newsom's terrified. He's frightened. That is why Karen Bass is flailing, because once California cracks, once even a sliver of this deep blue fortress turns red, the entire Democrat machine across America will start to crumble. So here's a situation I want to leave you with, guys, tonight or today, whenever you happen to be watching the show. Do you stand with Gavin Newsom's arrogance? Where the hell are you going to go? Or do you stand with the millions of Californians voting with their feet, with their wallets, and with their voices by saying, we're done with this nonsense? Because if California can wake up, if California can revolt, then no Democrat in America is safe. Now, this is the implosion of California's future. And it's not just a state story. It's unraveling. It's the unraveling of the entire Democratic playbook. Mark my words, guys. Lawsuits, exodus, humiliation. California is burning. And the people are finally ready to fight back. So like, subscribe, share this video, and let me know in the comments, do you think California is finally turning red, or is this collapse only the beginning? Click on the video that just popped up on your screen, and I'll see you on the other side.